First contact gone wrong. The Terran Defense Fleet's flagship, Resilient, hung in high Earth orbit, its newly minted quantum sensors scanning the approaching alien vessels. Admiral Maya Rodriguez stood at the bridge's central display, her weathered features illuminated by the holographic readouts. She'd spent 30 years preparing humanity for this moment. First contact with an advanced civilization. But something felt wrong. Analysis of their approach vector, she asked, eyes fixed on the display. Lieutenant Commander David Chen's fingers danced across his console. They're maintaining perfect formation, Admiral. 7 vessels, each larger than anything we've built. Energy readings suggest extremely advanced tech. The alien ships gleamed like polished obsidian, their hulls adorned with what appeared to be crystalline structures that pulsed with internal light. They moved with impossible precision, as if friction and inertia were merely suggestions rather than laws of physics. Open all frequencies, Rodriguez ordered. Let's see if they're here to talk. The response came instantly, in perfect English. Greetings, developing species. We are representatives of the Zylaxian Empire, guardians of galactic order. We have monitored your development and determined you require protection and guidance. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. Protection and guidance. Your species advances too rapidly, develops technologies without proper safeguards. We have seen this pattern before. It leads to chaos. We offer structure, order, safety. And if we decline this generous offer, the alien voice became harder. That would be unfortunate. We have studied your history, your wars, your conflicts. You cannot be trusted with unrestricted development. Accept our guidance, or we will be forced to implement protective measures. Rodriguez looked around her bridge. Every crew member sat at their station, faces set with determination. Humanity had spent generations preparing for first contact, building their ships with hidden capabilities, developing technologies in secret. They'd known this day might come. Zylaxian vessels, she responded. Humanity respectfully declines. We will chart our own course. Then you leave us no choice. Protective measures will commence. The alien ships began to move, spreading out in a classic encirclement pattern. Their crystalline structures blazed with energy, preparing to fire what their sensors indicated were weapons far beyond Earth's supposed technological level. Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. All ships, execute Protocol Phoenix. Across Earth orbit, vessels that had appeared to be civilian satellites and communication relays suddenly came alive. Hidden weapon ports opened on cargo haulers. Mining ships activated shield systems that shouldn't have existed. The Zylaxians had studied human history, but they'd failed to learn its most important lesson. Humans were at their most dangerous when backed into a corner. They're charging weapons, Chen reported calmly. Let them fire first, Rodriguez ordered. Let's show them why assuming technological superiority can be a fatal mistake. The first Zylaxian energy blast lanced out toward Earth, only to encounter a defensive grid that, according to their intelligence, humanity shouldn't have had for at least another century. The blast scattered, absorbed by a network of quantum field generators disguised as communication arrays. Return fire, Rodriguez commanded. All ships, implement randomized attack patterns Delta through Kappa. Let's show them what humanity can really do. The battle for Earth's independence was about to begin, and the Zylaxian Empire was about to learn why underestimating humanity was the last mistake many species ever made. The human factor. The Zylaxian commander, High Enforcer Vexthor, watched in disbelief as the supposedly primitive human fleet executed maneuvers his tactical computers claimed were impossible. Their ships moved in chaotic patterns that somehow contained perfect precision, like a swarm of insects that shared a single mind. Status report, he demanded from his bridge crew. Inconclusive, High Enforcer, his second-in-command replied, mandibles clicking in agitation. Their vessels are registering as both civilian and military simultaneously. Our targeting systems cannot establish lock patterns. A human cargo hauler suddenly appeared where their sensors showed empty space, its hull briefly flickering with what appeared to be primitive camouflage technology. Before Vexthor could issue orders, the vessel launched what appeared to be standard mining charges. His tactical officer didn't even bother raising shields against such primitive weapons. That was their first mistake. The mining charges detonated in a precisely calculated pattern, creating a cascade of quantum disruptions that temporarily blinded the Xylaxian sensors. In that moment of confusion, 3 human vessels that had appeared to be simple communication satellites revealed themselves as heavily armed strike craft. "Impossible," Vexthor muttered. Their technological level was verified by centuries of observation. They shouldn't have quantum masking capability for at least another 100 cycles. On the bridge of the Resilient, Admiral Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Status of Operation Trojan Horse. Civilian vessels are in position, Chen reported. The Xylaxians are still ignoring them as non-threats. Their arrogance is working against them. Rodriguez nodded. The alien empire had expected to find a primitive species playing at spaceflight. Instead, they'd found a civilization that had spent generations preparing for this exact scenario. Every civilian ship in Earth's space fleet had been built with hidden military capabilities. Every satellite network concealed weapon systems. Even the debris fields from early space exploration had been carefully maintained as potential cover for stealth operations. "Launch Phase 2, she ordered. Across the solar system, vessels that had appeared to be simple cargo ships and passenger liners suddenly changed course. The Xylaxians had superior technology, but humans had mastered the art of using inferior tools in superior ways. "High Enforcer." The Xylaxian tactical officer's voice carried notes of both fear and confusion. "The humans are using their mining vessels to alter local gravity fields. Our formation is being disrupted." Vexthor watched in growing horror as his perfect battle formation began to break apart. Human ships that should have been easy targets were somehow bending weapon fire around themselves using crude gravitational manipulation. Their cargo vessels were launching clouds of what appeared to be simple debris, but the clouds somehow formed perfect defensive screens against Xylaxian energy weapons. "This is impossible," he repeated. "They're using industrial equipment as weapons, mining tools as military assets. It violates all conventions of warfare." On the Resilient, Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. "That's exactly the point," she whispered. "Admiral," Chen called out, "the Xylaxian fleet is attempting to regroup. Their adaptive algorithms are starting to compensate for our unconventional tactics." "Good," Rodriguez replied. "That means they're following their programming. Signal all ships to begin Phase 3. Let's show them why predictability can be a fatal flaw." The battle was far from over, but humanity had already achieved its first objective. They'd shown the Xylaxian Empire that technological superiority meant nothing when faced with human ingenuity and adaptability. The real question was whether the aliens could learn from this lesson before it was too late. Adaptation and innovation. Dr. Elena Santos stood in her makeshift laboratory aboard the asteroid mining station Prometheus, surrounded by the remnants of a crashed Xylaxian fighter. 3 months had passed since the initial battle, and humanity had been busy. "Show me the interface diagnostics again," she instructed her AI assistant. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the strange crystalline technology that powered Xylaxian ships. What the aliens had assumed was salvage recovery by primitive scavengers had actually been a coordinated effort to understand and adapt their technology. Neural pathway integration at 67% and climbing, the AI reported. The crystalline matrices respond to human brainwave patterns, though not as efficiently as they do for Xylaxian pilots. Elena smiled, running her hand along the salvaged crystal. They designed their tech to be impossible for lesser species to use, but they didn't count on human creativity. The lab's door slid open, admitting Admiral Rodriguez. The military leader looked tired but determined. "Please tell me you have good news, Doctor. The Xylaxians are adapting to our initial tactics. We need something new." Better than good news, Elena replied, gesturing to a nearby workbench. We've cracked their quantum crystalline technology. More importantly, we've found a way to improve it. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Improve? Their tech is centuries ahead of ours. Technically, yes. But they've been using it the same way for those centuries. Elena activated another display, showing the modified crystal structures. They designed these crystals to respond to their specific neural patterns. Very efficient, very precise, but also very rigid. We found a way to make them respond to human intuition instead. In the station's hangar bay, a prototype fighter waited. From the outside, it looked like a standard human design, deliberately crude. But inside, salvaged Xylaxian crystals had been integrated with human neural interface technology in ways the aliens had never imagined. The Xylaxians used their crystals for perfect, calculated movements, Elena explained as they walked to the hangar. But humans, we can make them dance. The prototype's pilot, Captain Sarah Chen, daughter of the tactical officer who had helped win the first battle, sat in the modified cockpit. Her mind merged with the hybrid systems, feeling the crystal's power not through rigid protocols, but through intuition and instinct. Ready for test flight 7, she reported. The hangar doors opened to the asteroid field beyond, where dozens of automated drones waited. Rodriguez watched as the prototype launched. The ship moved like nothing she'd ever seen, blending Xylaxian precision with human improvisation. Captain Chen flew through the asteroid field at speeds that should have been impossible, the hybrid crystal tech responding to her instincts faster than any computer could calculate. The Xylaxians believe their technology is perfect, Elena said quietly. But they don't understand that perfection isn't about having the best tools. It's about how you use them. Across the solar system, similar innovations were taking place. Mining crews discovered that their modified gravity manipulators could disrupt Xylaxian shield frequencies. Communication technicians found ways to use quantum crystalline fragments to enhance their stealth systems. Every human advantage came not from matching Xylaxian technology, but from using it in ways its creators had never imagined. How soon can we implement these modifications fleet-wide? Rodriguez asked, watching Chen's prototype dance through space. That's the best part, Elena grinned. We designed everything to work with existing systems. No major retrofits needed. The Xylaxians gave their tech so many restrictions trying to prevent lesser species from using it. They never considered that working around restrictions is what humans do best. In high orbit around Jupiter, the Xylaxian observation fleet detected unusual energy signatures from the asteroid belt. Their analysis software registered the patterns as random mining activity, exactly as the humans intended. The greatest human victory wasn't just learning to use Xylaxian technology. It was making sure the Xylaxians never realized how much humans had learned. The alliance shifts. The Centauri trading post had seen better days. Once a bustling hub of commerce under Xylaxian control, it now served as a neutral meeting ground where various species could gather without imperial oversight. In a private chamber deep within the station, Ambassador Marcus Chen, father of Captain Chen and former tactical officer, sat across from a being he never expected to meet. Corel, a former high enforcer of the Xylaxian Empire, folded his crystalline appendages carefully as he spoke. Your species continues to confound our strategic models. The Empire has never encountered such adaptability. That's because you keep looking for patterns that fit your expectations, Marcus replied, sipping his coffee. Humans tend to excel at defying expectations. Around them, the trading post buzzed with activity. Species that had once been firmly under Xylaxian control were beginning to show signs of independence. The human resistance had sparked something unprecedented in the galaxy: hope. 3 more systems have declared themselves independent this cycle, Corel reported. Using methods suspiciously similar to human tactics, the Empire suspects your involvement. Marcus smiled diplomatically. The Empire suspects a lot of things. They're still looking for some grand human conspiracy, refusing to accept that our real strength is inspiring others to think for themselves. A holographic display activated between them, showing recent battle footage. A Drachnid cargo fleet, supposedly primitive like humans, had somehow transformed their ships' agricultural force fields into weapon-deflecting shields. In another system, the crystalline Vex had adapted their natural resonance abilities to disrupt Zylaxian quantum communications. The Empire's greatest weakness, Marcus continued, isn't their technology. It's their inability to understand that oppression breeds innovation. When you tell a species they're too primitive to do something, you basically guarantee they'll find a way to do it. Corell's crystalline form shimmered with what Marcus had learned to recognize as amusement. You speak from experience. Humanity spent centuries being told what we couldn't do. Couldn't reach the stars. Couldn't survive in space. Couldn't achieve faster than light travel. Every time someone said, impossible, we took it as a challenge. The station shuddered slightly as a Zylaxian patrol passed nearby. The Empire's ships still projected an aura of invincibility, but to informed observers, their formations had become more defensive, their patrols more cautious. The Governance Council meets in 3 cycles, Corell said quietly. There is discussion about the Empire's approach to developing species. Your successful resistance has caused many to question our traditional methods. Marcus leaned forward. And how many of those council members have secretly contacted Earth's diplomatic corps? Enough. Corell's crystalline form shifted colors slightly. The Empire's unity is not as absolute as it appears. Many have watched how humans integrate different approaches, adapt to challenges, embrace diversity of thought. It is compelling. On the station's main level, representatives from a dozen species mingled openly. Trade agreements were being made, cultural exchanges arranged. But more importantly, ideas were spreading. The human concept that technological advancement wasn't just about having the best tools, but about finding creative ways to use what you had. The Empire believes they can contain the spread of ideas, Marcus observed. They still think in terms of military victories and technological superiority. And what do humans think in terms of? Marcus smiled. Possibilities. Every time the Empire tries to contain us, they actually give us new opportunities, new allies, new technologies to adapt, new challenges to overcome. Corell's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been concern. The Empire will not accept defeat easily. We're counting on that, Marcus replied. Because the harder they try to maintain control, the more they prove our point. Change doesn't come from having the most advanced technology. It comes from having the courage to imagine better possibilities. As if to emphasize his point, a group of young Zylaxians entered the trading post's main hall. Unlike their elders, they wore modified environmental suits that incorporated designs from multiple species. They moved with less rigid precision than traditional Zylaxians, their crystalline forms showing subtle color variations that would have been considered improper in the Empire's core worlds. The revolution humanity had sparked wasn't just military, it was cultural. And those were the kind of changes that no empire, no matter how technologically advanced, could ever fully control. Victory through diversity. The combined fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system presented a sight unprecedented in galactic history. Ships of every size and design hung in perfect formation. Former Zylaxian warships, now crewed by revolutionary forces, flew alongside modified human vessels, while ships from 24 other species filled the spaces between. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Resilient, now upgraded with a hybrid of technologies from across the galaxy. The Empire's main fleet has begun its approach, Captain Sarah Chen reported from her position at Tactical. 5,000 ships. They're deploying in traditional combat formation. Of course they are, Rodriguez smiled. They still think this is about military superiority. The Zylaxian fleet emerged from quantum space in a perfect geometric pattern, their ships gleaming with crystalline energy. Their formation was a testament to technological advancement and tactical precision. It was also exactly what humanity had been counting on. All ships, execute Operation Unity, Rodriguez commanded. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The combined fleet moved not as separate units, but as a single organism, each species contributing their unique strengths. Human vessels used their unpredictable tactics to create chaos in the Empire's perfect formations. Drachnid ships deployed their modified agricultural fields to redirect enemy fire. The crystalline Vex transmitted harmonics that disrupted Imperial communications. On the Imperial flagship, Supreme Commander Vexthar watched in growing horror as his fleet's coordination began to break down. Impossible. They're using our own technology against us. Not against you. Corell's voice came over all frequencies. The former High Enforcer's ship led a contingent of revolutionary Zalaxians who had chosen to embrace change. We're using it with others. There's a difference. The battle that followed demonstrated why diversity of thought would always triumph over rigid perfection. Human ingenuity combined with Zalaxian precision. Drachnid adaptability merged with Vex crystalline technology. Each species contributed not by trying to match the Empire's superiority, but by finding unique ways to turn that very superiority into a weakness. They've broken through our left flank, an Imperial officer reported. Their tactics, they keep changing. The combat computers can't predict their movements. Because they're not following a program, Vexthar realized too late. They're improvising, working together. Every time we adapt to one strategy, they create a new one. In her hybrid fighter, Captain Chen led a squadron that demonstrated the true power of combined technologies. Her neural link with the crystalline systems didn't try to match Zalaxian precision. Instead, it channeled human intuition in ways the Empire had never imagined possible. Her squadron flew patterns that looked chaotic, but contained a deeper harmony, one that came from understanding that true strength lay in embracing differences rather than enforcing uniformity. Imperial Command. Rodriguez broadcast on all frequencies. You can end this now. Your technological superiority isn't enough anymore. We don't want to destroy you. We want to show you a better way. The response came not from Vexthar, but from the Zalaxian Governance Council itself. Perhaps, a new voice said, it is time for the Empire to learn from those we once sought to teach. The ceasefire that followed wasn't just a military victory. It was the beginning of a new era in galactic history. The Zalaxian Empire transformed into the Galactic Cooperative, where advancement came not from imposing standards but from sharing ideas. Human adaptability and creativity became not just tolerated but celebrated traits, studied and embraced by species across the galaxy. Years later, at the dedication of the new Galactic Assembly on Earth, Admiral Rodriguez stood with representatives from hundreds of worlds. The building itself was a testament to combined innovation. Zalaxian crystals provided power. Drachnid fields maintained the environment. Vex harmonics enhanced communications, and human ingenuity tied it all together in ways no single species could have imagined. The Empire thought they needed to protect lesser species from themselves. She mused to Corell, who now served as head of the Assembly's Science Council. They never understood that true advancement doesn't come from having the best technology. It comes from having the courage to share it, to learn from others, to embrace new possibilities. Corell's crystalline form shimmered with agreement. Humans taught us that strength lies not in perfection, but in adaptation. Not in superiority, but in cooperation. No, Rodriguez corrected with a smile. We just reminded everyone of something they already knew but had forgotten. The universe is too big, too diverse, too wonderful for any one species to have all the answers. Victory doesn't come from being the strongest. It comes from being strong enough to embrace change, to learn from others, and to admit that sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places. Above them, ships of all designs moved through Earth's orbit, their crews working together regardless of origin. Humanity had won not by becoming the most advanced species, but by showing the galaxy that true advancement came from celebrating differences rather than fearing them. It was a lesson that would shape the course of galactic civilization for generations to come.